This is how Kenyans ignore instructions. Don't buy that house. I'm not about to market this book, but the knowledge in here will guide you to your perfect home and your perfect real estate investment. And I'll be using my real estate knowledge, the knowledge I have learned from National Core and his books, and whatever I have learned from the university. But they have a degree in real estate, and I've been practicing real estate for more than 4 years now actively. Don't buy that house. This book was written in 2022, and I'm sure 4 years on, there are people who have bought a house that they regret investing in, and there's someone who has purchased a land right now that he or she will regret purchasing because they didn't do their due diligence or ignored this book or this video, because we Kenyans do as we are not instructed to do. And there are several red flags that you'll come across in the Kenyan market. And let me use cases that are in public domain, like the Suraya properties.
Despite the off-plan investment gaining popularity in the country, a number of Kenyans have found themselves counting losses in millions of shillings after the said projects fail. Raquel Migai now reports on how the Suraya properties ended up duping their clients.
Where buyers lost a few properties, and the recent ruling by the Court of Appeal, whereby the Cytonn group was given a go-ahead to auction their properties because they have failed to deliver properties belonging to hardworking Kenyans.
The state has revealed the list of Cytonn Investments real estate properties set.
There are many other cases of where Kenyans have gone ahead and ignored all the red flags and purchased several properties worth billions. In fact, it is estimated that the stalled properties in Kenya accrue to about 1.2 billion Kenyan shillings. And that is only the monies that have been paid by Kenyans, hardworking Kenyans, and it is stuck in developments that have been running forever, some as long as 10 years. And for today, I want us to look at those red flags. There are people who have written books like this one for anyone looking to develop a property. And this is your first time. Please take your time and read this book because it will help you eliminate cost overruns and it will help you avoid delays, cost by cost overruns, and many other aspects that lead to project delays. And for this book, if you're a first-time investor, by the way, he has not paid me to market. We don't have a collabo with him, but the knowledge in this book, you'll always love to go back to it. Actually, for me as a real estate agent, I carry it everywhere I go as I inspect a project for the first time because I don't want to sell something that I cannot resell to someone. And also, I don't want to buy something. When I start my real estate investment, I don't want to buy something that is against this book. It is not my Bible, it is not my constitution, but is my perfect real estate investment constitution in Kenya. So, apart from the book, there are several red flags that we have seen, like in the recent Maroroi case. You have seen multiple buildings, hundreds of persons displaced because the repercussions of don't sit here and don't buy that house are not comparable. You cannot compare don't sit here and don't buy that house or don't buy that land with anything else because don't buy that house is regrettable for the rest of your life. Remember, you have invested your 2 million, 3 million, 10 million, or even hundreds of millions, but you're stuck in a court battle for the rest of your life because that property that did not have a properly constituted title. And that's why I say if there is no property title, Run, my friend, run. Siaka, siaka, mbio sana. Everywhere, run to the farthest. Get another investment option. Do your due diligence. And if the title is not there, run and run again. And let me tell you this outright, even if that property is coming from me, your brother, your sister, your best friend, or even your wife that you sleep next to every night, every day, don't buy that property if there is no sectional title or if there is no title. So, and you can also verify whether the title is genuine by using a lawyer. And I will post how a title should look like. Inakuanga na 4 pages. Make sure it has the encumbrance page, the first page, the second one, and the last page. The last page shows you the deed plan. But people can fake titles, so you have to run a deep search at the land registry. You have to consult your friend. If there has been any cases, you can search at the kenyalaw.com to see if there is any cases that, although this is now a second red flag, but among other things, you can verify how genuine a title is by looking if there has ever been cases at the Kenya Law Report. And the reason I say avoid property that have cases is because you see the Kenyan legal system is very slow, and any property that you'll undertake to purchase, you'll purchase and the legal battle will continue and continue. And for properties that have been cleared of any legal battles, remember those cases can always recur, especially if the case was withdrawn. So that's why I always say avoid any property with ongoing cases and any property that has had a very, very grave issues in regards to legal matters. The third red flag, now for a property purchaser. One, history of the contractor. The history of the contractor matters a lot. And this is why you'll see contractors and developers who have been doing properties for 10, 20 years without delivery. And I like giving figures and facts. Imagine you bought 10 two-bedroom apartments at the year 2016, and those apartments have not been delivered, and we are in 2026. If you are collecting rent, even at 10%, we would assume that you would have already recouped your investment, and now you are enjoying your investment returns, collecting about 1 million each and every year. But what happens if that project is not delivered? You're left counting losses. You're left with court battles, and you're left with ulcers. Some people even die before property delivery. Look at the books, look at the case logs we have at the kenyalawreport.com.org, and you'll be surprised how many people have died while battling for property delivery. That's why you must do a due diligence on the property developer. Because in this book, and I said I'm not marketing this book, you'll see that 90% of Kenyan real estate development projects are delayed. Hence, we only have 10% success rate of project delivery in Kenya. 10%, if it's not scary enough, this should be scary enough to tell you don't buy that home or don't buy that property. Another red flag is a forged NEMA approval. Kindly be very keen on the NEMA approvals, because this is also mentioned in this book. Property developers will intentionally hide the number of units that they are developing. For development with less than 100 units, has a different approval, development that has over 100 units. So be very cautious and be very keen to note on the numbers of units approved by NEMA. Another thing, make sure that NEMA approval is there and up to date. Kama haiko, my friend, siaka, kimbia. Another red flag. If the property sits right next to a river, how many meters is it away from the river? Remember, for a stream, the minimum allowed is 6 meters. And for a river, it can be up to 30 meters. So if you are being told you have a river view, you have awesome fresh river, my friend, but how far does it sit from the river? Remember, in the current government, we have seen property being demolished, properties worth 1 billion or even more, but because they sit right next to the river, they're being demolished. So your 5-10 million is not safe as long as the river's authority approval is not up to date and it is not genuine. Red flag. Sijasema all the properties sitting next to the river see genuine, but it's a red flag if there is no approval. Another red flag. If your property is seated close to the airport, how many floors is the property? Because remember, Kenya Ports Authority gives the limit to the number of floors. Sometimes 5, sometimes 6, sometimes 7, depending on how far the property is from the airport. So for any property close to the airport, wale wana invest Syokimau, especially on that side facing the airport, make sure that you have an approval from the Kenya Ports Authority. Another red flag, and this one people tend to avoid. What are the measurements in that building? If it's a 2-bedroom that is 100 square meters, what is the gross area and what is the net area? Let that be specified in the sales agreement and in the approved architectural drawings. Make sure that all those measurements are there. Because my friend, you'll buy a property that says net area is 96 square meters, but ukienda kwa grao unapata ni 80. We have seen greedy developers, I'll not be mentioning names, but we have seen people exaggerate sizes by up to 50 square meters. And these are the things valuers wanapata kwa grao. When you're taking your mortgage, you are told a property is 400 square meters, kwa grao unapata ni 300 square meters. So I like using facts and figures because my lecturers at the universities told me real estate maths will follow you to your grave. And this is how real estate investments follow you to your grave if you make any mistake. Please don't buy that house. Imagine you're buying a square meter at Kenyan shillings 90,000. That is very affordable. And the property size has been exaggerated by 50 square meters. So 90,000 times 50 square meters, you have lost 4.5 million buying air. That's why I will always insist. Let's be specific. What is the gross area? Of course, there is allowable variations, but if it's 50, 100, no. Please run. Another red flag, my friends. Another red flag is an inactive site. Kama hapa nimeshuti video, najua natumia mic, but you'll hear some noises from the background because the site is very active. You'll see fundis all over. You can hear fundis from the rooftop, An inactive site is a red flag that, one, the developer is not keen delivering the project as promised on time. And another thing is that the finances of the project are not as per as you would expect. Hence, the developer is struggling to keep people on site, and this will affect the project delivery. So as we make sure you're visiting the project, make sure you're doing regular property inspections to ensure that the site is always active and the developer is keeping their promise of delivering the project on time. Another red flag is the project financing model. My friends, what is the financing model? If the project is over-relying on off-plan sales, this is a total red flag. We have seen a lot of stalled projects because of over-reliance on off-plan sales. Make sure the developer has the capacity to deliver the project even if no one else buys the project. And how do you know that? I'll refer to my previous point. Ensure the site is active each and every day and active each and every day. And that's why I always advise on buying projects on milestones. Pay your investment on milestones. How much work did they do after every 3 months? How much work did they do in the last 6 months? Is it worth to continue paying for this product? Don't buy that house, don't buy that land. Usipewe risiti ya karatasi. All the payments should be written down in the sales agreement. Remember, there are a few things that I said should be in the sales agreement, and I said the actual measurement of the units, and make sure your payment schedule is tabulated and captured in the sales agreement. And for each payment, you have your sales receipt received and copied in your email address. Why am I insisting on having your payment sent to your email address? Because you cannot unsend an email 2-3 days after it's been sent. I know right now you can unsend an email, but 2-3 days it remains permanently in your inbox, not unless it is hacked. But email is so far the most secure platform to show your transactions, and all your conversations are saved in an email chain. So I think for the red flags, I'm done. And make sure you don't buy that house, because for the first red flag you see, you move to the next. There are many perfect investment opportunities in Kenya, and as well, an equal number are a red flag, and many people will cry even after this video because they invested in the wrong property. And another thing, this is purely by me. Don't invest in a dark apartment. Make sure the unit is well lit. My friend, you're not investing in a brothel. You're investing in a property that you expect to collect returns for the rest of your life, or if that is not the case, where you and your family will live forever. And if that is not the case, a property you can resell to someone. If the room is not well lit, if the rooms are not well lit, you'll not be able to resell that property easily, and no tenant will want to live there. So that is another red flag. And this is also a call out to our Kenyan government and developers. Please, why are you giving us beacon to beacon development? And the county government, why do you keep approving beacon to beacon development and knowing that in the long run we'll have a concrete jungle that we cannot resell, that will not generate income for us? That's why you see empty shells all over. So please, this is a Don't Buy That House video, I know I have borrowed from the author of this book and the author of this book from my real estate experience and from my real estate degree, but there's so many red flags out there and you don't want to come or be entangled in either of them. That's all for today. Please keep subscribing to my YouTube channel because we sell real estate insights. We offer real estate insights for free, but for a living, I sell real assets that you have been all working hard for and dreaming for. So if you have any inquiries or you would like us to have a real estate conversation, please don't hesitate to call my number provided on the screen. And also you can see short videos on my Instagram and TikTok channel at Isaac the Realtor, where I share real estate insights. And for LinkedIn, I write a lot. Today there's an article running today actually. So please keep subscribing, keep following me. For those that like written content, it is there. For those that love watching, my YouTube channel is your favorite real estate YouTube channel.